Yeah, Salamis with Athens and one of the.
And we'll get to that. We'll get to that. Hey, folks, it's Friday, September the 4th, and we're going to do our lecture over the second half of Chapter 5. This has to do with some of the law reforms of the Greek lawmaker Solon, who is very different from the Spartan one, Lycurgus. So once again, we're going to lecture. I want to take a picture of the notes for you. I'm going to post it on Google Classroom. Next week, we have a primary source reading we're going to go over. If I have not posted it yet, I'll check this afternoon and make sure it's up there. And it's from an author named Plutarch on his biography of Lycurgus. So let's go ahead and begin. All right. What? No, that's a bust of Solon, right? So remember, Greeks like themselves some head busts. Now, remember though, the Greeks usually made theirs out of bronze. Whenever you see marble like this, it's usually a Roman copy. In fact, we're not entirely too sure how the Greeks made theirs because they were very good at it. But when we try to recreate them, we're not sure how exactly they poured the molds and things like that. So, because you can get issues with cracking and things like that. So yeah, Solon, he's going to be somebody who's going to be a very patriotic Greek, and eventually he's even going to go live in Persia. But even though he goes off later to live in Persia, he's still going to.
What's a Persia? Oh yeah,
Persian.
So he's still going to be very fond of his old country. So here is once again a map of Attica. And you see Athens is over there close to the coast. That place Piraeus, that's going to be part of Athens kind of later on. It's going to be where their harbor is for their big navy.
Is Attica
And
Latin for Athens?
No, Attica is Greek for the area that you see here. I don't know what it means though. Way over here towards the left is where Sparta is. This is Corinth. Oh wait, no, that's gonna be next week. My bad. I guess I only had 2 images today. Oh well. I don't know what I do. I don't have pictures of the laws. All right, so let's go into the terms. So I'm sure the originals rotted a long time ago. All right. So anyway, Solon and Salamis. So remember, Solon was part of he was part of the voice that led to the banishing of Megacles for doing this sacrilegious execution of those guys who were trying to take over the whole place, right?
Is this in there?
Yes, ma'am.
I was confused because it's on my door.
Can I get Jonas?
No problem. Huh? You wanted one?
Yeah.
You wanted one too? I didn't know. Can you go tell her? Yeah, that's my bad. Hey, all right. But yeah, I'm sorry. I didn't hear you.
Sad times.
All right, so, she went to the left. All right, so, hey, yeah, so Solon is then going to later, we have this place called Salamis. Salamis is like this island where you have a dispute. What's the dispute? 2 different polis, city-states, are arguing what about this? Who is in?
Salamis. I was about to say salami. But
Yeah,
stop myself.
so I just said that this is an island in Athens, and who is claiming that they're what for this?
Athens and the other one.
Megara. So Megara is another city, and they're both, what are they both claiming about Salamis?
That is their property.
Yes.
Get off my land.
So Athens claimed it. Yeah, but was defeated. What odd thing did Solon do to convince Athenians to get
He
it?
pretended he was crazy. What was the guy who did that first? Odysseus?
Yeah,
He
yeah, so
pulled
he's like
Odysseus.
Odysseus. Exactly, and they have a law of what about crazy people?
You can't punish them because they're
You
crazy.
punish them. Yeah,
They're
so
crazy to move and
Solon,
Why can't you punish someone?
They don't know.
Mr. Wagner, what day we do the chapter 4 review on?
Is that when they send
Huh?
like serial killers to get
When?
I'm sorry, what was your question again?
When will we do the chapter 4 review?
The chapter 4
Yeah, when we do it,
when are we gonna do its turn?
no, like what day?
Like in the past?
Yes.
I don't recall, it was this week though. So Solon pretended to be insane and convinced Athens to take the island. So what we see here, the whole point of this, whether it's true or not, is that he's very smart and crafty. So he thought it would be in his city's best interest to have this piece of property. But he pretended to be crazy to get it. And the reason he pretended to be crazy is because he knew that the law was you could not execute someone for doing something like this if they're insane. Because like you said, they don't know the difference between right and wrong. And it's not about the crime, it's about the intention, right? And crazy people don't have the same intention as sane people. So, you okay, Timothy?
How do people pretend to be insane?
Well, what did he say? What did they say he did?
Odysseus sewed with salt and he yoked an ox and a horse together.
Yes, John.
They should totally make Greek monopoly with all the city states.
It might already be out there. There's a
Yeah,
lot of
I think there is one. Because
There's a lot of monopolies.
there's a monopoly about Tyler and Henderson.
Okay. Yes, sir.
I think they said they do Jersey like, since there was a law against trafficking, what does this mean, like, what happened, around saying, please call it back family.
He did, but he also locked himself in the home and started rumors that, oh yeah, I'm going crazy. So, I'm not sure what he did, but he must have did something. So, so I wrote down Athens claimed Salamis, but was defeated. Solon pretended to be insane and convinced Athens to take the island. Everybody's like, wow, you're actually pretty smart. And he led the attack to the victory. So, and this often happens in societies, is that successful military generals are often given political positions. He's given like the head political position. People were still upset about things like Draco's laws had fixed some things but made some things a lot worse. You still had the poor being driven into slavery. So no longer were they citizens who had their own farms. They had laws made against them. They had no real representation still, even though Draco helped alleviate some of that for people who could afford armor and stuff. But Solon's going to have to step in and fix things. And he had several decrees, right? And a decree is basically like a statement of authority. And so he has these decrees, and it's listed 1 through 5. Can we abbreviate those 5? It's on the bottom of that page. What's the first one?
If men pay their debt, it's like the weight of the coin they use is allowed to be 3/4 less than the weight of the coin they're paying, but it'll still have the same value.
Yeah, so
So it's like reverse inflation.
yeah, he changed the money. And you're right. This way, and like this is like a reoccurring theme in society. Like later on, like 120 years ago, a lot of farmers were wanting that in America. They wanted to change how money worked because they wanted more money in the supply, right? Because what Solon's saying here is that money, there's less of it, and therefore the people who have the most of it are rich people. And so what he's going to do is going to take the cash. He's going to, like you said, keep the same value, but with less actual what we call specie. That's gold or silver. So he's
That's
increasing the value of the money.
the way they make paper money.
Well, yeah, I mean, part of it's convenience. Originally, it used to be backed by gold, like this, like $1 worth of gold. Now the way that,
Let's go
but
ahead.
you couldn't necessarily exchange it very easily though. But
But
nowadays,
it's
it's different. Nowadays, money is kind of based upon a promise of value by a nation, which is kind of a weird, finicky thing, yes.
So, last year, in Mr. Martinez's class,
Mhm.
I got to do a short lesson on John Paul Jones.
Ooh,
This year, can I do a short lesson on why money's backed on nothing?
okay. You can do.
And money's back on what?
Well,
Nothing.
Nothing.
before you do it, give me an overview on why you think it's backed on nothing.
Because it isn't.
No, you said why. I'm just curious. I mean, I know, like, so they turn on the printer, money comes out. But why would they do that?
Well, originally it was backed on gold, but because of World War II, I believe, it's been a little bit since I studied it. We had all the gold, but then everyone put their money, our money, and they pulled their money out of, or their gold out of our Federal Reserve.
Yeah.
And then I believe it was Nixon who took our money off the gold standard, and then boom,
Yeah.
it was based on nothing.
Yeah, you're right. It is largely due to Federal Reserve guesstimations. Okay, well, I'm gonna think about it. I mean, I would like us to do a project. It's not quite on the theme of current course we're taking though.
I'm gonna make a sword.
Okay, and he wants to make a sword. Okay. Hey, what was the second one?
Why is it-
Why don't
What
you just make one?
Was the second one
Wait,
for number 2? Yeah, I'm waiting. I'm waiting. You said
okay, so how come like a gun? You can just buy a gun, but like a ton or something, you need a license for that. Why?
You need a license for a gun.
Wait,
Well, you can just
wait,
buy
wait,
a
wait,
gun.
wait, wait,
You
wait.
can buy a gun and-
Whoa. Hey. Oh, is he asking a question? Is he asking a question? All right, so this is a little off topic. Let's do the last off topic question. Then, why do you need a license for what?
Why would you need a license for a baton but not for a gun?
You don't need a license for a baton. You don't need a license for a gun.
Yes, you do. Like,
No, they carry it around, you do.
I'm sorry, what is the question?
Or you
Kind of. Handgun,
That's-
yeah, only
It's
in the
still
state,
carry.
in the state of Texas.
Yeah.
So, you don't need a license for a baton. You can order one off Amazon, bam, it's at your house.
but you can't use it because you actually need a license for that.
There is no license for a baton.
You
Yeah.
can use like
They are heavily regulated in some countries like England, but Jose, you can fact check me on this. What you're saying is not true. You don't need a license for a baton. I'm sorry. You can collect them all you want. You can be one of those weird people who plays a bunch of swords and dances around like in their pajamas with a sword. But you don't need a license for it. So, all right. So back on topic. Solon's decrees. What was number 2?
Let's see, debts from farmers are forgiven.
All right. So okay.
More farmers.
Because the rich knew that farmers would never be able to pay back that much debt.
Yeah, because it was trickery. It's not
Loan
that
shark.
they're saying, look, it's gone so bad, it's actually depopulating our country.
That's
So,
why it's called shark.
so forgive for, because if you were too bad in debt, you were made into a slave the rest of your life. And then you'd never pay it back. So yeah, there's a lot of problems going on. Number 3. So what was number 3?
If you agreed to be a slave, you wouldn't have to become a slave. I thought that was what it said. Came from Michigan.
Think about that. So if you agree to do something, you don't have to do something? What? Okay.
That man who agreed to become a slave of another, if he did not return the money, would not be held to his bargain. So if he borrowed money, they agreed to become a slave to pay it back. He did.
Okay, so once again, we're just gonna say free slaves, right? So that's what they're essentially saying, is that, hey, you're there because of this, so you're free. All right. 4.
4, people who are already enslaved will be free. Like,
Yeah.
not just like slaves, people who were citizens who became slaves.
So it goes back to, it's essentially saying this one is you're freed and your debt's removed. So this one is just freed slaves again. So this is actual freedom. So there's probably something I'm missing from number 3, but we're just gonna forget about it for now. And the last one had to do with something about selling land to certain folks.
If you were sold, I thought it was if you were sold to a foreign country, you're to be brought back as a citizen.
Yes. So freedom from foreign lands. So so some people were actually sold to other countries. So that's pretty bad. It's pretty bad. So if there's one thing that there's now, don't get this wrong. Athens is going to have slavery for a very long time. This isn't going to get rid of slavery. He's not Abraham Lincoln. What he's doing is he's reducing slavery for the citizens. They will still be willing to capture foreigners, mostly other Greeks, and enslave them. Now, it's not going to be nearly as bad as what the Spartans did, but it still wasn't all live roses, All right, so changes for the rich and the poor. So, it's going to make some political changes for some folks, right? As far as political representation. And this is going to follow those decrees on the next page. So, what did he do to make things more equal as far as political power? Let's start with the rich folks. So for the rich got to still have what?
And land.
Yeah, but I'm talking about political power. They were still able to hold the,
Office.
yeah,
Court.
so they still had most political power, so they still control things.
And now there's 3 like subsections instead of just 2.
But highest taxes. They're like, hey, you can have the power, but you have to pay more taxes. Now, what was the middle one? Did they say anything about the middle one? Like, the middle one were still like those guys who could be hoplites and still vote, like that Draco gave power.
They had like less taxes, but didn't have as much. It just kept going down until there was no taxes and no political power.
Yeah, the super poor had no political office or taxes, though. They're like, hey, if you don't have a voice in the government, you don't need to pay taxes. So, okay. So it did make things perfect.
At least they didn't have to pay taxes.
Yeah, it alleviated some of their suffering. And that was part of it. He was trying to have as few of his countrymen as possible getting eaten up by debt. Yeah. And that could be a big problem today.
Student loans.
Yeah, student loans, credit cards, things like that. People can really mess themselves up with debt to the point to where their debt is so bad that they're working just to pay off debt. They're not really working to have cash anymore. And that could be a really horrible place to be.
Didn't Trump forgive college students?
He suspended payments and interest during the emergency, I think. And so it's good in that there's people out there who maybe are having hard times paying it off. They're getting a temporary break, but it's also bad because there's that money's not coming into the government that they were kind of expecting, and so that can affect national
Why
debt.
not tax the rich?
Why not tax the rich?
Tax Jeff Bezos, dang it.
Well, there are arguments for that. There's arguments against that, and we're going to make that in 12th grade. All right, so
Literally.
law codes. Yeah, it's more of a political class. Like if we get to talk about it like after we're done with our lecture stuff, that's fine. But right now we got to do this. But as far as like a class, yeah, it's economics and government, and I let the students talk that out. All right, so law codes. All right, this is an easy one. What did he do? What did he do about the law?
You
He put the,
changed it.
yeah, he changed it, and he put it on blank so that everyone could blank.
We put it on wood so
Yeah.
we could hang it.
Yeah, so wrote on, we'll just call them tablets, right? For all to read. So that's a big deal. Now people know what the law is. No longer do like only the rulers know what the law is, and then they just use that secret law to trick people. It's like, ha ha ha, you broke a law. What law? I can't tell you, but you're going to jail. Like that, it was a state. And, that was their life. All right, last one. How the laws received by the people. Were they all happy?
Better than Draco's, but still not perfect.
Right, yeah. It may don't, they say this is what a compromise is. A compromise is when you go in and everybody gets a little bit of what they want, but not all of it. But the thing is about a good compromise, they say in a good compromise, nobody's left happy. But nobody's killing each other either. So, how were they received?
With the press.
Yeah. No one was happy. So Solon left. It's like, fine, I'm gonna leave you guys alone and let y'all work it out, but don't change the laws. We're gonna say it's not gonna be all that perfect, but he does set a lot of things in motion that we're gonna see is gonna help Athens eventually become rather prosperous and eventually have the beginnings of the first democracy in the world for good and bad. So there's gonna be good to it for it and bad for it. So we're gonna see. that.
We're doing
What? Yeah. So we finished up the lecture today. When we come back, I think what we're gonna do is that on Tuesday and Wednesday we're gonna go over chapter 6. Thursday and Friday we're gonna go over that document I gave you to read over. So.
we have
'Cause-
3 days.
Yeah, so yeah, and you got 3 days off. So, enjoy it. All right, folks, we're going to end that there. I'll put the notes up. I'll try to make sure they're not upside down this time. So,
I'm gonna.
talk to you later, kids. Yeah, my phone